said, it was a kid. It was a kid. It was an abuse case involving children.
Yep.
And he said, just so you'll know, he says sometimes they don't want to, the parents don't want them to talk because the parents don't want them to deal with the repercussions.
Absolutely.
And, you can debate that many ways. I mean, is it better if you've been molested to confront your abuser and to bring it out and make sure they're punished?
Let's ask Nathan. What do you think?
Yeah, Nathan, what do you think? Is it better to face your abuser and accuse your abuser, or would it be better to just ignore it? And
that's way too heavy.
Yeah, that is too heavy.
It's way too fucking heavy.
That's too heavy. Plus, it's so funny.
Way too heavy.
I looked at the look at your face, and I thought, he's not even thinking about the podcast right now. He's thinking about oatmeal. Were you ever in a situation where you helped solve a crime, or you were called upon as a resource to solve a crime?
Yeah, one that really sticks out in my mind is that there was a young girl from Billerica, Massachusetts, that was missing one morning, and she allegedly went to a town on the North Shore of Massachusetts, and they gave her a description that he was a 17 to 18-year-old Asian boy, but he had a nickname like Jimmy or something like that.
Okay.
And it took me about an hour, and I said, you know something? There was a kid in one of my community policing classes, had an Asian name, but he said, everyone calls me Jimmy.
Okay.
So we went right to his house, and initially, Jimmy and his father said, no, she's not here. And then we went back 5 minutes later and said, listen up, my friend. We believe she's here. And we're going to surround your house. We're going to get a search warrant to search your house. And if we find her in here, you're all getting arrested for kidnapping.
Yeah.
So we went in there and she was in there.
Yeah.
And we got her home safe just due to the fact that I remembered the name that he gave me was Jimmy.
Oh, that's good.
And there's been other school resource officers that came upon after me. They did the same thing. You can solve a lot of crime, especially with missing. It's usually with missing or runaway kids that having a school resource officer is beneficial.
Do you remember why Jimmy and his father were willing to shelter this girl?
I think the father didn't speak any English, so the father really didn't know how old the girl was. She didn't really look 14, and his son was kind of a very immature 17. So there was really no malicious intent. I think that he didn't really know that as a 17-year-old, you really can't be inviting a 14-year-old to come into your house. It's usually not looked upon as legal and normal, usually.
17, is 17 the cutoff?
Well, yeah, if the girl was 16, it would have been fine.
Listen to this, Nathan.
Yeah, if the girl was 16, if he's 17, she's 16, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because the age is the age of consent is 16, at least in Massachusetts.
So if Nathan is to say at some point in his life that based on the girl's bicycle, he thought she was
the bicycle with the training wheels and the little, the pink flower basket on the front. Yeah, he can probably safely assume that, she's not 16.
Yeah, so something.
Or she's a special needs 16.
As a telltale sign for you.
That's what I was going to say. I just thought she was a little slow for her age.
All right, let's see. A visual deterrent. The visual deterrent. This is like what do they call it? The calming measure. They put stadies on the highway during construction problems as a traffic calming measure. Same thing with cops directing traffic.
Yeah, I think you don't know how much crime you've stopped just by being there.
Yeah.
Was someone going to do something? Was someone going to smash a window in a house, but the cruiser just went by? Was a kid in high school going to do a drug deal, but the cop comes around the corner? And they stop the drug deal, and maybe they don't do the drug deal, or they just do it somewhere else.
No, we just do it somewhere else.
Just do it somewhere else, yeah. But yeah, there is a visual deterrent to crime with police officers in certain types of crimes.
This is going to be one of those public health, Department of Tourism type of estimates where, they're estimating figures, but they're estimating a lot, large figures, and you wonder if there might be exaggerating them. Dale? How many crimes did you prevent when you were an SRO? How many years were you an SRO?
2 years.
2 years. So in those 2 years, how many crimes do you think you prevented?
I have no clue. No clue. I couldn't even answer that. How many crimes did I solve as an SRO? Like missing kids? Probably 5 or 6.
Really? That
And
many?
some acts of vandalism, 3 or 4, a couple of missing phones, stuff like that. Did we have a teacher?
Wait. You solved the
Kids
the
get
mystery
their
of a
phones
missing phone.
Stolen phones, cell phones.
They steal each other's phones. I had a student. I had a student in my class who thought that somebody had stolen something from the class. One of her classmates. I don't know if they later found it or not.
I think that, what the biggest one, which turned out to be kind of my downfall, was there was a teacher that was hired in the school system that I worked, and it was something about that teacher that kind of rubbed myself, and there was another school resource officer who worked in the middle school.
Yeah.
He just felt a little creepy to us, and there was a couple of other teachers, like football coaches, who were like, this guy's creepy. So we looked into him.
Yeah.
And we looked into his past history as a teacher, and we were able to call one of his past schools, and we had the secretary of that school who, off the record, she called me back on her cell phone, not on the school line, and said, hey, he used to be an assistant principal here, and he got fired for being aggressive towards students.
Towards students.
Yeah, just kind of grabbing them and shaking them down a little bit. And he was a little guy himself, a short little guy, kind of stocky. But if you're a 35-year-old guy and you're a 12-year-old kid, you're going to intimidate someone.
One day, someone told this man, hey, pick on someone your own size. And he took it literally.
Yeah, so that was an investigation we did.
Yeah.
And we presented that to the school principal, who was a little bit upset because he hired him.
Okay.
And then that was presented to the superintendent, and he was even more upset because he obviously finalized the hiring. So from that point on, I was kind of persona non grata. And then a few months later, I actually left the job.
Really?
Because they kind of tried to make it uncomfortable for me.
So they made it uncomfortable for you.
Well, they tried to.
Okay. Well, you left. So.
Well, I left because I'm like, that's fine. Someone else can do it.
What happened to the teacher?
He left.
Oh, you did leave. Okay.
He left. Yeah.
He did leave. Yeah. It's if they don't let you rough up the students, who'd really want to be a teacher?
Yeah.
Let's see. Cops are better suited to deal with serious security threats in the schools. You ever have one of those?
Every once in a while, you have a kid might come in with a knife or something. We never had a gun incident, no one with a gun, but kids trying to fight each other, kids from other schools coming into your school and trying to beat up a couple of kids who might have been messing around with their girlfriends over the weekend. But I think what kind of happened just about a week ago in Texas, in Arlington, Texas.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, there was a couple of school resource officers at that school, and there was a fight in the school with the 18-year-old and a 15-year-old, and I guess the 18-year-old got his ass kicked by the 15-year-old.
Is that okay? I don't have that on my story, but
that's the story.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, the older kid had a gun. He pulled out the gun and he shot the kid, and he shot a couple of other people in the area. So ultimately,
the fight was
a fist fight.
No, but was it the day before? Was it an hour?
It was the same
before?
day.
Was it 15? It was the same day,
same
but
day.
it was time had passed. So the kid got into the fight.
Not much time. Not much time had passed.
Lost the fight.
Pulled out a gun. Started shooting.
Wow.
4 people injured.
Yeah.
And one of the sick thing about that? Well, the good thing about it is that there were some school resource officers in the area, but the kid had subsequently fled.
Yeah. And nobody died. They just got wounded.
Well, there's a kid who's in critical condition, but this is over. This is over a week old, and he hasn't died yet. So the longer he lives, the better.
Yes. Yeah. Let's hope the kid pulls through.
Yeah. So in that instant, the really demented thing about that is that they let the kid go on $75,000 cash bail. He just shot 4 people. They let him go.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Go back to the 12-year-old girl that was arrested for making a threat, and she was held in juvenile corrections for about a week.
Was she really?
Absolutely, she was. Yeah, they hold her. They do a little psych eval on her.
Okay, all right.
See what's going on up there. This kid shoots 4 people because he lost a fight.
Yeah,
and they let him go. I mean, come on, Dave.
That's madness.
How many times you got your ass kicked in high school? You never went in. You just took the lickings, right? What about you, Nathan?
I think what they should do when that kid comes back to school, there should be an assembly where everyone gets to beat the shit out of him.
Kind of like in Mean Girls, except with a twist.
With a twist.
That's interesting. This is, I got to tell you this. I have a bullying story. Can I tell you? Well, not a bullying, a school fight story.
I'm just going to assume right off the top you lost, but go ahead.
No, it was my greatest moment. It was my greatest moment in fighting.
All right.
I said it was a buddy of mine, and he did something to me before sixth period at junior high is what we called it then. I think his name was Charles Forster. He was a good guy.
Yep.
And he was bigger than me and stronger than me, and I said, Bessie Baker, 215, because we always fought at Bessie Baker, which was the playground across the street. And so I said, Bessie Baker, 215. And then I sat down and I realized what I had done. So we have class and class runs. And here was my strategy. I never showed up. I never showed up. And next day he sees me in sixth period. He's like, where were you? And I said, I'm not going to fight with you. You'd kill me. We're buddies. Why would we fight? And he had nothing to, he had no recourse.
I remember when I was in middle school or elementary, whatever it was, junior high school. Yeah, junior high school back then, Dave. Yeah, kids would say, I'm going to fight you. The nerves that I would be so nervous the whole day.
You did a lot of fighting? You did a lot of fighting?
Not really. I didn't win. I never won I never won.
You never won?
In junior high, never.
Kind of like your boxing career.
No, my boxing career was a lot better. Actually, that sent me into my boxing career. I was like 0-4, and I'm like, I need to learn how to fight.
You know, I did find this, is that the kids who fought a lot, like 4 times, there was generally something about them that made them deserve it. Like they, the kids that I knew who fought a lot always seemed to be involved in a fight for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
They were aggressive kids. Were you an aggressive kid?
No, I wasn't. I was kind of passive, and sometimes the aggressive kids look at the passive kids as an easy win.
Yeah.
It's an easy win.
That's definitely.
They're going to stack their record on me.
Yeah. You were like
going to pad their record.
You were like a Dana Rosenblatt training horse. Basically, a fighter brought in to make another fighter seem or build his record. Learn without too much risk. All right, let's move to this potential negative outcomes to student being released on bail, which is the kid
from Texas.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy, by the way. And the details of that were, speaking of the internet, weren't there pictures of him or something?
There's a picture of, I believe there's a video of the initial, or a picture of the initial fight where he's getting his ass kicked.
Okay, which is great. There's nothing like when you lose a fight. There's nothing like video evidence to be posted online and shared with everybody.
The embarrassment factor and that alone could make someone go into the school and do something irrational.
Let's put it this way: that's probably. If that's enough to make somebody do something that extreme,
they shouldn't be on the street anyway.
Right, they should be. But it's so much worse being a kid now, because if you have an embarrassing moment, I had a fight once where I was winning, and the kid hit me in the nuts.
Yeah,
and my face turned white, and down I went.
Absolutely,
and it was horrible. And I'm just really glad there was no video evidence online.
Because it can live forever, Dave.
Yeah.
They can show Dave Radigan's greatest hits at your next high school reunion.
That's a good point. On the other hand, I hit a grand slam when I was 13. No video cameras around, so did it really happen? It wasn't on Facebook. Well, back then it wouldn't have even been MySpace. It would have been like Al Gore's clunky, original internet. Where were we?
We were talking about the negative outcomes, and one of the biggest ones, especially in Texas.
And this kid, let me just point out, this kid in Texas, I think his family was wealthy, and the reason I think his family was wealthy is they posted $7,500 in bail like within a day.
Yep.
And I don't know
some of the video that they show when the SWAT team went to his house. It looked like a nice neighborhood.
Yeah. Okay. So
like a nice upper middle class.
Basically, if someone fucks this kid up, it's a victimless crime because he's rich, and rich people are not, in fact, people.
No, I know you believe that, Nathan, but that's not true. Rich people and teachers are actually people.
Wrong. That is false.
Anyway, so this kid gets out. I mean, I gotta say, this is like the Dirty Harry, the justice system depicted in the Dirty Harry movies. Decades ago, where super lenient justice system kicks out somebody who's done something heinous, like shot 4 people. I mean, how does this kid get off with? And I get it, it's fairly high bail, but the family made it within.
One of the bottom line is that the people or the kids that go to that school and their parents have to live in fear. But you're in Texas. Vigilante